Howdy folks. Today I'm going to be replacing an old thermostat for some baseboard heaters with a new Wi-Fi controlled smart thermostat from Mysa. I've put a bunch of these in our house and I really like the way they work. There's only two rooms that we don't have them in, and one's our bedroom and downstairs in one of the bathrooms. So now I'm going to be replacing this old one with a new Wi-Fi enabled one, and I'll show you what it looks like under here. It's powering two heaters that are in parallel over on the wall, but we've only got one set of wires to the heaters here and then one set of wires from the breaker box. So let's take a look inside and see what we got. All right, I got the cover off, and this is just a cheap thermostat from Home Depot. I did make sure that the breaker was turned off downstairs. I turned it on full blast. There's no heat coming from the baseboard heater. And then also checked for voltage at the baseboard, and it was good to go. So I'm gonna unwrap these in a little bit, but for now we'll chat about what they are. So the two red wires on this thermostat are the two supply lines, right? So we have two legs. We have one leg of 120 volts and another leg of 120 volts. And in my case, they're black and white. They can be black and red also. But that's because I have 240 volt heaters. So on the heater side, I have another two wires, right? So same thing again, we've got black and a white wire. So these two go to the heater, or heaters in my case, and these two come from the breaker box in my case. So the Misa one, I'll show you the wiring diagram, but basically it takes both of these to power the thermostat itself, and then it only switches one side of the load wires. And when you see how that's wired up, it'll make sense. But let's get these unraveled and take a look at the Mysa thermostat. So here's the Mysa thermostat I got. It says it works for either 120 or 240. We're doing 240 in this particular case. They also have wattage limits. In my case, we're using two heaters in parallel, and I checked and it's under the limit, which I think is 3,800 watts. I'm not sure, you would have to check. But let's take a look at the thermostat itself and see what we got. So here's the thermostat. It's got a piece of plastic on the front to protect it. This is where the numbers will show up. We'll take a look at that in a minute. And then on the back, you see you have the two lines, right? So this will be one of my 120 volt lines coming from the breaker box, and then the second one. And then this will be going to one of the legs for the heater, basically. So yeah, that's basically how it works. And again, I'll show you the wiring diagram in a corner of the video. So let's go ahead and get this thing wired up and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we got it wired up, and I'll walk through it one more time just so it makes a little bit of sense. So these bottom wires are from the breaker box, and the top wires go to the heater, all right? So in my particular scenario, I have 240 volt supply, right? Or it's running on 240. So each one of these is 120. So it almost doesn't, well, it doesn't matter which one you hook up to the thermostat because they're both 120. But the idea here is that one just goes to the thermostat. The second one goes tied to the heater and goes to the thermostat. So basically what's happening here is that's how the thermostat gets its power, off of these two. So it runs on 240 volts because you're across the 120 and the 120. And then the third one, if you look here, it says the load goes behind. The third one goes to the heater. So basically what the thermostat's doing is it runs off of the two lines. So the two legs, the 120 volt and 120 volt, make 240 across both of those. And then it switches this 120 volt leg on to make heat, or off to turn heat off again. On for on, off for off. And then the thermostat always stays powered across the two 120 volt legs. And then the heater also always has one 120 volt leg wired to it. So that's why it's only got 3 wires. Anyways, you'll want to check for your particular scenario what it looks like and how to wire it, but that's how mine works, and it's likely how quite a few of the 240 volt ones would be wired. So that's pretty simple. I'm going to throw a little bit of electrical tape around these things to just kind of keep them together, and then I'm going to put my thermostat back on the wall and then fire it up and see what it does. And if you're wondering, this is a Nest thermostat that I have wired up to a Yodel gas stove in the corner through a relay and another power supply, but that's another story. We can cover that later. All right, let's see it on the wall and fire it up and see what happens. All right, we got it back on the wall, and if you're wondering, the faceplate comes on and off with this little tiny screw on the bottom. I used a little flat blade screwdriver because it's what I had. So anyways, you unscrew that, this pops off, it gets you to the access screws to screw it to the wall, and then you pop it back on and put the screw on. And then they come with this plastic film, which, you know, most stuff does to keep it nice when you're messing around with it. But yeah, it looks like it fits pretty nice, just in there with the little Nest thermostat. I think it'll look pretty good. All right, back to turning on the breaker and let it power up. I'll be right back from downstairs. All right, just flipped the breaker on, and it looks like it's working. This little arrow says it's in pairing mode, so I'll go to my phone in a second and walk through that. I think we missed the smiley face. It gives you a smiley face if it looks good, if it's wired. Probably just the walk that we missed that on, and then the down arrow. So I think we're good to go. Now time to pair it and see how it works. All right, so we're ready to pair. So on the top left corner of the app, I push the button with the 3 bars. I click Add Thermostat and Baseboard. And you have to be sure to be connected to 2.4 gigahertz. We have a 5 gigahertz network and it doesn't work on that one, so I'm ready. I do have the pairing icon, so I click Yes. Part of Windy Pines. And then I am ready to scan the QR code that came with the thermostat in the box. So add it to home. I'm going to allow it to connect to the network, and it should connect soon, so we'll wait. So it took about 2 minutes, but it finally did connect. I'm going to scroll to the name Master Bedroom and continue, and then I'm going to name it Master Bedroom here as well. And continue, and then add it to Windy Pines. So it should be ready to set up. And it's a baseboard heater and master bedroom heater type, so confirm. I'm going to do a custom schedule. So there's all our rooms. We're going to do a custom schedule for just the master bedroom. And you can do it pretty complicated, but this is going to be the easiest way to set it up. So wake up at 7, go to bed at 10 p.m. I'm going to leave those two like that. We're going to do every single day. And then I'm going to say that I normally leave at 8 a.m., confirm, and then get home earlier than this, but I want it to turn on at 7 p.m. Let's go to 8 p.m., confirm. All right, next. And then when I'm in the room, I want it to be 66, so we'll set it to 66. Okay. And then the empty room, I want it to basically be turned off, so I'll go to 41 degrees. I said 41, so we'll try one more time. That's a bug. Also change my mind. I want the room to be 63 when I'm sleeping in it. Okay, next. Oh, so it looks like it has a separate setting for sleeping in it and being in it. So I'll go to 66 for being in it. Next, sleeping in it, I'll set 63. Confirm, next. Early on, that allows you to have the room heat up to the target temperature at the time you set, so you don't have to wait. And that's pretty much it. And the cool thing about these thermostats is if you click on one of the old ones, like the baby's room, you can click on energy and you can see basically how much energy you're using and a couple other things like the ambient temperature, the set point, and the humidity. So here you can see um, the humidity goes up quite a bit until we open the door in the morning, and then it drops like a rock because we live in Colorado. Also, you can follow the green line for the set point of the thermostat, which goes to kind of a lower set point during the day, and then up again for nap, and then down again in between nap, and then up for bedtime. So it's pretty cool. And then on the left-hand side, you can see the purple bars showing you how much electricity you've used. And I chose 12 cents per kilowatt hour so that I can calculate that. And then if you go back out to all of the thermostats, top left corner, again, you can click whole home energy, and then it kind of gives you a roll up. So across the bottom, you can see, for example, here that the master bathroom floor uses the most energy. And this is just the first few days of January. Um, so yeah, it's pretty cool. You can dig around the app and do a bunch of different things. Inside the thermostat, it allows you to change things. If you press the setup, I like to turn the inactive brightness way down so we don't see it when we're sleeping. It's in Fahrenheit. Button control, you can lock or unlock that, and yeah, a bunch of other things, but that's pretty much it. That's how you wire it up and set it up.